So look, why is empathy so important to great learning design? Well, the answer to that, I think, is pretty simple, but I'm going to start with a confession, which is this. If you asked me to recount and recall in any forensic detail all the great things I've been taught and all the knowledge that I'd acquired over my time on the planet, I'm going to struggle. I am much better able to recall, however, how I felt at the moments that I was learning, or in other words, how the people teaching me made me feel about my acquisition of new knowledge. So I remember precious little, for example, about the ins and outs of algebra, but I remember very clearly indeed how the maths teacher made me feel when he noticed for the first time that I was struggling and sat down beside me and gave me a little bit of extra time. So I can recall very clearly what it was like to be taught by someone who had a talent for reading the room. And I can recall just as clearly how dispiriting it felt to be taught by someone without those skills. So I'm going to tell you a quick little story. It's a story I always told my own undergraduates when I met them for the first time. So back when I was a very little boy, more than anything in the world, I wanted to be a gymnast. Truth be told, what I really wanted to be was a superhero. I wanted to fly, I wanted to leap tall buildings in a single bound, but sensibly I decided that perhaps gymnastics was my route to comic book celebrity. So I pestered my parents mercilessly, and finally the great day came, and I was off to my very first lesson. And you have to picture it, there I am, all revved up, all ready to go, and in my little white vest and in my little white shorts, and I couldn't be any more excited. But moments after I arrive in the hall, a piece of paper is pushed very suddenly into my hand, for reasons I don't understand, because nobody has told me, no one has explained. Then, a grown-up I've never met before is barking instructions at me and telling me to do things that I don't know how to do. And worse, this grown-up I've never met before is telling me to do things I don't know how to do in front of a group of people I have never met. Now, I'm trying to be brave. You know, I want to be a superhero. But my bottom lip is wobbling, the tears are prickling in my eyes, and finally, my nerve breaks and I run. And I run from the hall. I run into the car and I demand my parents take me home. And that's it. That is the end of my dream of becoming a gymnast come superhero. And I've got this kind of mixture of pride and embarrassment, which makes me decide that gymnastics is stupid. But worse, secretly, I've decided that I must be a bit stupid too. So the reason why I'm telling you this story is the same reason I would tell my undergraduates on their day one, when they were at their most nervous, when they were worrying about making a great first impression, or when they were just worrying about being on the threshold of learning a whole bunch of new things. Empathy is an act of imagination, but it is also an act of remembering. I have simply never forgotten that little boy in his white vest and white shorts, and by that I mean I have never forgotten what it's like to be at the beginning of learning, and how to be at the beginning of learning is to be vulnerable. I've also never forgotten how quickly enthusiasm and curiosity for a subject can turn instead to disinterest and disenchantment if that first experience is poor. You know, we often think that learners are ready and willing to learn simply because they've turned up or simply because they've chosen to study with us. But my experience is that real learning is always about letting go of something. And to let go of something is to be vulnerable. So in this way, learners are putting themselves at risk. So it seems to me a failure to empathize with them is to ignore what is truly going on when people come to us for new knowledge and new experiences.